Oof. Hype is too strong an emote for this. Far too strong. I'll go. Hello. It's me. I just put it on the chill channel. I didn't know what I was going to get. Corvus. Thank you for Nintendo 64 months. Oh. Don't know what to say, man. Hey, Lindley, thank you for the biddies. Yeah. Yeah, just vibe, probably. I'm not feeling particularly bad or anything. I don't know. Empty head, no thoughts. Nothing really seemed particularly palatable, I guess. Hey, 12. Not even bad vibes, really, you know? I wouldn't say bad vibes. It's just like nothing in particular seemed worth doing. And I was kind of futzing around with my latest project. I do think I'm a bit in the I'm in the fallout of a great game experience. I feel like I always get this way after one of those. That's true. There is Callisto. I blew too much time today, though, so it's too late to start something like that. Yeah, same. I get it with shows too. Same sort of thing. I've played Inscription. I just haven't gone deep with Inscription. And I don't want to do it for Scream-a-Day because I don't feel like it's really a Scream-a-Day game. I also wasn't very good at it, so it felt like it was going to take like way too much time out of Scream-a-Day when I originally did it. So I kind of ended up vetoing it, and then I never got back to it. the card one, the crazy creepy card one. Don't get me wrong, I liked it. Well, from what I hear, beer, it really opens up after the first season. Well, if I remember right, it's by the Pony Island people, right? I'm inclined to believe when people say that it has some awesome stuff further like deeper in because that's how Pony Island was. You know, the credentials are there. As far as Final Fantasy 14 goes, I believe Dave. I'm just not sure. I'm not sure that you can force that experience if you weren't there for the ride, you know? I don't know if I like stuck with it and went all the way if it would really do it for me or not. The main problem with me is how much I don't like MMOs as a baseline, you know? And I recognize that it's a me problem. So that's not me saying that it's bad at all. I just I feel like everything's stacked against me with regards to trying to find that beautiful experience that I'm told is out there. We're not really. We're just talking about stuff. It ended up there. We were really talking about Inscription and how you have to you have to really hang on, but then it gets wild, and I didn't hang on long enough for it to get wild. I gotta stop putting projects on myself that make me feel bad. I really gotta stop that, man. I don't even know how to explain where I'm at with this thing. Well, it's just like it's a flurry of emotions, you know? Like I'm excited, but I also am frustrated. I've made progress, but it comes in like fits and starts. It hits plateaus. I know like everything that I want, but I also know that the road to get there is really long. That's what really kills me with projects. It's hard to stick to it, you know, because if your ambition outstrips your determination, I guess. And a lot of what really grinds me is the fact that I just don't have fucking time. I don't have time to really sit down and get into it, you know? That's what really sucks about working. Even if you have a job that you like, like I do. The fact of the matter is, it's a fucking time vampire, you know? It eats up your life. You're not left with any life to do other things, you know? I like my job. I feel like I'm paid pretty fairly, and I mean, it could be better, but I'm paid all right. I really like the people I work with. I like the company. I got no problem with it. And I like what I'm doing. I feel like I'm learning a lot and everything. But I don't like how much it leaves me like with no other time to do any other damn thing. It doesn't even, it's not like bad in that regard either. Like they're good about like work-life balance somewhat. I mean, like on the American scale of things. So like by American standards, they're pretty good on work-life balance and not sucking up your time when you're not like on the clock or anything like that. Like you're not being bugged around the clock. You're not expected to do stuff on the weekends, nothing like that, right? Although by like I don't know, European standards, it's like slave labor probably, but that's the American life. We're being juiced. They're squeezing all the juice out of us. So there's nothing fucking left. Yeah. Well, you see, the fuck of that is, I kept saying like I want to do dev stuff with you guys on stream, and then I keep coming up with these projects that I want to keep like a big secret because I want to surprise you guys with the cool stuff instead of actually doing shit on the stream. But I think that this is one of those things where I just set out to make something that I don't want you to see until it's ready. It's just the nature of it. Well, there's multiple things with where this project is. Um, One thing that needs to happen is I want to do a rewrite. So basically, I was learning how to do something based off of somebody else's articles and project. And but it was somewhat archaic. It was pretty old. And I didn't fully understand a lot of the certain aspects of it. So there's a lot of like cobbled together things. But I got to a point where I managed to successfully get it to the most baseline level. Like the core thing works. That's where it got to. And I was feeling really good about that. I don't feel bad about that. It was when I finally got it together and it was looking how it's supposed to look, I was like, damn, this is awesome. This fucking rocks. But that wore off, and now I've got like this pretty nasty mess of code. And to do the rest of the things I want to do, where I take this core thing that works and turn it into a presentation, like turn it into the vision, this long road extends out in front of me because before I do any of the stuff that I really want to do, I should rewrite it first so that it's organized in a good way. So it's easier to expand and add the features that I want to add and stuff like that, If I try to do that with the way it is now, it's just going to keep getting worse and worse and worse, you know? It'll be like a Katamari planet. And I'll be the little prince. But yeah, so there's a read write needs doing. And unfortunately, I'm finding that like really daunting because I'm still sort of a bit of an idiot when it comes to organizing a project well. I have sort of a half understanding of class structures and so forth, like that particular pattern. That's what I want to use to make this, like to organize this, I feel. I feel like it's a common paradigm for games on this engine. I know there's no perfect answers. That's part of what troubles me, because it just makes me feel like everything I'm doing all the time is wrong. It should make me feel like it doesn't matter. As long as it works, it's fine. But it makes me feel like I'm just wrong constantly. And then if I manage to get through the rewrite part of it, then it's going to be about adding the features that I have in mind. Mallory, thank you for that gift sub. Richie, thank you for 73 months. And there's a lot of features I want to add, and there's certain things that I'm not sure whether I'll be able to figure out how to achieve, because I only just barely understand what's happening with this core thing that I ripped from a tutorial. I sort of get it, but there's things I want to do I don't know if I'll be able to figure out how to do, but I'm going to try. And then like all of the stuff that's more obvious and straightforward to do, like all the art related parts and like how I want it to look and so on, like that's much more straightforward, but also going to take a lot of time. So like I said, I'm at the beginning of the road and I see the road stretching out before me for miles and miles. And it's daunting and it kind of gets me down, because that combines with my whole, like I don't have time to do anything. If I do this, I'm not doing something else. Yeah, you're right. I've described it in the elephant fashion, but I do approach things by breaking them down into pieces. I usually try to think of what little improvements I can make in a quick time, and then I try to do that. I am often thwarted because I'll think like, oh, I could do this little thing. And then I try to do the little thing and I find out, oh, no, no, no. That was a big thing. I thought it was a little thing. It was a big thing. That happened today. There's a little improvement I wanted to try to do. And then I found out, oh, nah, bitch. Yeah. I mean, I still do things, so it doesn't always get me down. It's just like tonight, I'm a little down about it. Probably just my vibe today. Some days are harder than others. And man, the stuff like another thing that's hard for me when I'm doing projects like this is I just want to like let the cat out of the bag too. I want to show you guys really more than anything. But I know that if I do that now, it'll cheapen the results later. That's the artist side of me, where it's like, it's kind of like with drawing on stream. It's kind of hard to draw on stream because I don't like you guys seeing the unfinished thought, Hey, Kurt, thank you for the raid. Welcome, Farlanders. How y'all doing? Hey, Kurt. I love that emote combo. It's very good. Very mad scientist. Beer, thank you for that gift sub. And that other gift sub. I'll give you all the heads up that you just came in here with the raid that I am definitely just sort of vibing tonight, not playing any game or anything like that, and probably won't be on terribly long. So don't feel obligated to hang around. It's not going to get more interesting than me just sitting here talking and listening to music. Just so you know. But yeah, I'm just always torn between like wanting to show you guys and not wanting to show you guys. Beer, thank you for yet another gift sub there. Appreciate it, my guy. Yeah, I just keep thinking about this thing and how I want to do certain stuff. Yeah, it's just like a sort of a mentality in whatever the approach is that you're currently going for, right? Like if it was something that you planned from the beginning to be sharing the progress as you go and blah blah blah. That's sort of a different thing. Whereas the whole objective of this thing that I'm working on is the final presentation. It's not really meant to be seen. Oh no. Pack, thank you for the raid. Welcome, Ponderers. It is quite funny considering that the night is just a vibe night. Welcome, welcome, though, nevertheless. I've got that coveted time slot. Do any of y'all make games? I'm trying to. I do asterisk. Oh yeah, like Professionally or not, yeah, there wasn't any like either way is it's all good. What's kind of funny is that I found a few other projects that are like mine in the same engine. And one of them I found inspiring. Like it was pretty cool and it's based off of the same sort of core stuff, but it was like out of my league. It was all TypeScript and well organized. I should just copy that. I feel like that would throw me even further off course. But then the other one was funny because it was the total opposite. It was like definitely someone who set out to try to do the same thing that I am trying to do, but just utterly failed. Just failed miserably and then still put it out there. I was like digging into it. I'm like, man, this isn't going to help me. They did everything wrong. So I'm somewhere in the middle. Feels all right. I'm Mr. Average. Oh, man. Retired streamer. Oh, yeah, Gek. I meant more from like a coding perspective. I was kind of curious what kind of approaches those of you who do in terms of like, how you structure things. I'm still in this phase of like discovery, And the particular road that I'm on, the engine that I'm using is it's not a visual engine at all. So like, oh my God, I thought this was supposed to be the chill channel. What's happening? Don't hit me with these hyper ass sonatas. I love you, Beethoven, but get out of here. Okay, this seems like it'd be more chill. What the fuck? Like, when I say less visual, when I was playing with Unity felt weird to me because it was so, at least what I was doing was so much about like fiddling with settings, turning knobs and stuff, and not a whole lot about the coding, although it is there. And I guess that's sort of the paradigm. Seems like a lot of game engines are mostly like that, where you got kind of both, right? I think Unreal is the same. You got your Unreal editor. I guess we did do a bit of coding when we were doing Unity. With Phaser, it's all coding. There might be like an open source like data editor type thing out there, but if there is, I haven't used it. I don't know where it is. Oh, do you mean like those like the flowchart style? I have found that I am not about that. I was like astonished when the dev behind Holobody, they put out that one devlog video, the first one. And it's a cool vid. I think I shared it in the Discord. But I was like blown away when they revealed that they're like, yeah, I'm not writing any code. I'm like, what? How? How are you making something like this? And you're doing it entirely with like flowcharts and shit. What? How's this possible, dude? I guess like arguably you can probably achieve things with that that are a lot more difficult to understand with code, particularly if it's like, you know, significantly math heavy. It definitely is, Mel, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of the struggle that I'm going through over and over is I know what I want and I have to figure out how to code it. And that means it's going to be, you know, I'm always on the struggle bus. I mean, I've learned a lot, so I don't feel like I'm doing something I don't want to be doing or anything like that. It's certainly been hard at some points, but I mean, man, when did I start messing with this shit? Like 3 months ago? I threw myself down the fucking well. I've I've made a lot of crap in a really short period of time. I think what scares me a little bit as well with not knowing the code side is I feel like if you run into any edge cases, you're kind of fucked. You know, if you can't do anything about it on the code side, and you've hit some edge case of something that you're trying to do, which I seem to be just a magnet for edge cases. I mean, I feel like you could just get kind of cornered by that. Well, with code, I feel like you can work your way out of it, you know? You can learn something new or fix it somehow. But with visual tools, I feel like you can't fix the visual tool. It either works for what you want to do or it doesn't, I guess. Maybe I'm wrong about that. Maybe that's just the same. I don't really have any interest in modding a game, to be honest. The learning experience, as hard as this is sometimes, I think is what's driving me most of all. Even though I'm, you know, I've been kind of whining about struggling to do certain things or agonizing about silly stuff like how to organize my code. I enjoy the process. It's just that I wish I was better. I wish I was faster. I wish I could get to the vision that I have in my mind more easily. rather than everything feeling like I'm walking through mud. Yeah, fail fast. You learn from failure. Wish I was a baller. Wish I was a little bit taller. Wish I had a girl, I would call her. What was his name? Is it Skilo? Something like that? Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just fascinated with certain things and I get really hyper focused on them. And I really enjoy authenticity, I guess, of certain. That's not really the best word for it, but there's certain sort of like if you think about the that weird dungeon crawler thing I made, I didn't have to make it the way that I did. By I think all accounts, objectively, I did that the hard way. I did it the hardest way, and that's something you can do in a modern engine very, very easily. You know, you could just basically make it like a modern game, and then you just lock the camera a certain way, and you're done. And yeah, basically, it's kind of like that. It's like so needless. It's not really the result isn't really different, and in fact, it's probably more than likely worse. More often than not, it's like far worse. But I enjoy it anyway. I think this is similar to how I enjoy retro games because obviously the emulator experience is better. It just is, right? In every way, it's cheaper, it's easier, it's accessible, far more accessible. There's no need to buy old cartridges or discs or anything like that, you know? You don't need to do any of that crap. But I wouldn't enjoy it. It's kind of weird that way, you know? I've always had access to emulators, but I wasn't sitting around playing retro games. Not until I had the actual consoles around, and then I spent way more time playing retro games than I ever did. I mean, yeah, it's a loose analogy. I'm talking about the most obvious aspects that are better and worse. Kind of like how in modern engines you can emulate the old experience, but it's not the same experience. But it's also not that different. You know, it's not so different that it makes sense to do things the way I'm doing them. Plus, you have all the advantages of modern development and modern engine and everything like that. So, in a way, yeah, I'm messing with shit. I'm messing with ideas that are 40 years old. It's like I was complaining about, or I don't know if complaining is necessarily good. I was kind of bemused, I guess. But like, it just dawned on me that like a lot of the shit that I'm trying to do is stuff that people figured out how to do 40 fucking years ago. 30 or 40 fucking years ago. And I'm here, you know, decades later, fucking it up. And just, you know, messing with ancient ideas and tossing them in a little box and shaking them up. Well, 3D games are a little bit of a whole situation. Early 3D. I mean, the main reason that they look crappier is not because of the 3D. It's actually because of the 2D elements, right? Like if you scale up like Mario 64 to 4K, the polygons are going to be like crisp as fuck. But the textures and the UI elements and stuff are all going to look like garbage. What are you are you talking about like scaling up by like adding triangles or something? I don't know why something that would be round would turn into a hexagon. That doesn't really follow, because proportionally the polygons are still going to look exactly the same as they did at, you know, like whatever the original resolution was. Like what is it? It's really small actually, I think. Like 320 by something or other. I don't know. I don't think it was 640 by 480, but maybe it was. I mean, neither of these things that you guys are saying would happen unless you modified the polygons. It's literally going to be exactly proportional. The only thing that would change is you're not going to see as many jagged edges on the polygons. But the polygons are still going to be exactly the same shape as they were at the lower resolution. The only thing I can think is that you're actually referring to like billboard objects, two-dimensional texture-based objects, which those get like blurrier and blurrier. Okay. I mean, I guess subdividing, that's just not even a thing that you do when you're upscaling. That's like a mod. That's above and beyond upscaling. No. Okay. I mean, if you'd very much have to imagine that upscaler, because I don't think that's what they do. That would be modifying the renderer. I think I just still don't really follow that. Like a ball at 640 by 480 that's based on triangles is going to look exactly the same at 4K, just less jagged along the edges. But it still has the same number of faces. They're just mathematically the same. Yeah, Portal RTX I haven't seen much of. But the technology to that is fucking wild, where they can just replace stuff in place or whatever. It's like a layer on top of the game. It's bizarre to even think about. Fair enough. I don't want to annoy you. I'm going to kind of like agree to disagree on this. Gosh, I don't want to belabor it any further. I feel like I'm being hyper annoying. Hmm. Sure. I suppose if you're talking about extremely low resolution, the pixelated nature of it would make it look smoother. Certain shapes would look smoother. I can see that. I mean, that's the whole allure of a CRT is with both 3D and 2D graphics. It has the effect of sort of an inherent anti-aliasing, which does change the way it looks. So, if that's what you're referring to, then I'm with you. I think I just had my mind on emulators, which emulators don't have that effect no matter what resolution you run them at. So that's why I was like, well, even if you upscale it, it's gonna it's gonna look basically the same. So we're both right. Yay. We all win. Yeah. Dithering is a good way to think about it too. Um, because dithering has that effect even without scan lines, right? If you look at pixel art, that's how pixel art works. They use a limited palette, but if you dither, where you're basically interweaving two colors together, like a dark and a light color, the eye interprets that, unless you're like specifically looking at it and kind of breaking the illusion. Your eye interprets that as a sort of average between the two, so it looks shaded. And you get kind of that same effect with pixel art on a CRT where it looks like there's more detail there than there is. It looks like there's more colors than there are because they sort of blend together a bit. Yeah, cross hatching kind of is the same thing. It makes something look a little bit darker, but not as dark as it would look if you just like filled it in solid black. It's essentially dithering. Yeah. It's a really unique look that just doesn't exist anywhere else on our modern screens. I think HDR, I don't have any HDR displays, so I don't really know for a fact, but I think HDR does a pretty good job of improving that situation from the few that I have experienced. It's not the same, but it does add the right kind of intensity in the right places. Feels a lot better. Oh yeah. I haven't really messed with any OLEDs. For me right now, the thing that makes the biggest visual difference for me is high refresh rate. Like that's a hill I'll die on pretty much forever. I actually, when I look at a regular like 60 frames per second display now, for anything moving, it looks bad to me. I've gotten so used to my 144 monitor that like things just don't look right on lower refresh rates to me anymore. Yeah, contrast. So the main monitor I use, my high refresh rate monitor that I use for gaming, has so much better contrast and color than the one that I use for my stream PC. And it pains me to have them side by side. I should really just get another one of this monitor for the stream PC, so I just have the same monitors side by side, and it'll hurt me less. I think it just differs from person to person. A lot of people, when they look at like the refresh rate comparison stuff, they simply cannot see the difference at all. But for me, that's something that I can't even understand, like how you couldn't notice the difference. So I don't know. I don't know why that is, but it seems to be a thing. Woof. I would not be able to live with 30 frames per second. I just would not be able to. I would not be able to do it. Oh yeah, the aspect ratio thing is the most mind-boggling. But I also don't like when people like get all up in arms about that. It's like if they don't notice it, who cares? It bugs me for sure because I can see that, like it's like when someone they just plug the composite cables directly into an LCD and put like Super Mario World on or something and it's stretched the fuck out and I'm just like, ugh, this is wrong. It's all blurry and Mario's like 10 feet wide. But whatever. Whatever, whatever. The most unconvincing argument I can make for high refresh rate is that it looks more real. It feels like looking through a window into a game world. I don't know if that sounds good or bad, but that's how it feels to me. There's something so much more tangible about it. It doesn't feel as much like a game. It doesn't feel as much like a fake space. It feels like the farther that goes, the more it feels like you could almost reach your hand in there and just pick up a character out of the game like an action figure. You're making me think of this running joke that Two Clicks Philip has in his videos about HDR and flashbangs. Man, Half-Life Alyx was the pinnacle for me of VR. Almost to a degree that it practically ruins VR for me. I need to play through Half-Life Alyx again on the Index, and then I want to check out that the mod Levitation. Alex was so fucking good. Jesus Lord. It's just more Half-Life Alyx, basically. And it's made by some of the best creators in the modding community. In the Half-Life modding community, at least. Yeah, it's definitely not the best in that regard, but like the the picture quality generally was really very good. And I mean, I was coming up from the original vibe, so for me that was a massive leap. VR is just having a lot of problems getting off the ground. It's just too expensive. I there's nothing else to really say about it. It's just too expensive to get traction. Well, to be honest, the only really good thing you could say about Meta was that it was driving a lot of investment and work into the VR space. But the bad thing is that it was a bunch of shitty work and stupid stuff. And I mean, just like the whole thing is such a dystopian nightmare. I don't understand how they floated that out there as it was and thought that people would be like, hell yeah. Like, how did they think that that was going to work? Every angle that they threw out there just made me wish for death. Like that you won't own anything anymore. You're just going to own virtual crap. Fuck you. Um, it's better for working. How? Everybody has to fucking wear VR headsets all day. It's tough to wear a VR headset for a couple of hours. The fuck are you talking about? Like I get the utility of certain things, like the whole like virtual reality workspace thing where you basically can have any number of monitors, any size you want or whatever. Like I get that. That makes sense. But the inconvenience of having to be in a VR headset to experience that is like astronomically, like if you weigh them against each other. Yeah. I don't know. I always thought it was like such a dystopian nightmare right from the get go, and I couldn't understand how that wouldn't be how every single person would see it. Ixion? No, I never even heard of it. I don't know. To be honest, I really hate where technology is seemingly headed. It's kind of a nightmare space. This AI stuff sucks. The only shit that people want to do with VR sucks. Crypto sucks. Like, how many more fucking crypto things need to fucking implode from being Ponzi schemes or money laundering operations or outright scams before people get off of that fucking sinking ship? What's up? It feels like the world got like way fucking stupider really, really fast. Shit was already dumb, but then it feels like it's been accelerating. Like we're in a plane that was crashing and now it's just pointed more at the ground than it was before. I'm looking forward to the inevitable documentary or movie or whatever about FTX. I don't know if any of y'all followed any of that disaster, but holy fucking shit. Thank you, Endwin. I basically missed it too. Because I'm an idiot. Yeah. I mean, it's so far beyond Theranos. Theranos is bad. FTX is insane. Just billions of dollars were stolen there. The long story short is that that's the guy that we talked about where he was being interviewed by somebody who was basically laughing in his face because everything that the guy said was just like describing a Ponzi scheme. And then it turned out it was a Ponzi scheme. And like it's a fucking dark spiral too. Like you don't even want to get into the EA shit with that. The fucking ethical altruism apparent philosophy that was supposed to be behind the whole FTX thing, which the dude came out and said was like just a sort of thing that he did to make it seem like it was basically for reputation on his part. It was not something that he actually believed, which is exactly what ethical altruism is. It's just sort of like it's like billionaires doing philanthropy to philanthropic organizations that they own. So they're basically just giving themselves money, and then they have a news article written about them that says they gave $1 billion to charity, but they didn't really actually give $1 billion to charity. Uh, I mean, direct harm was caused by this as well. But yes, both are very bad. Yeah, long-termism. It's a lie. It's just another lie. It's another lie that rich people are telling. I don't really have that much of a horse in this race, Owl. I'm at a point where, like, yes, I hate Theranos. Yes, I hate FTX and the people behind that. They're all scumfucks to me. So I don't really see much point in, like, trying to compare which one's the worst. Like, it's all bad. Honestly, probably a bunch of crypto fucks. So in a way, FTX is probably kind of a good thing, I guess, if you put it like that. But the reason I feel the way I feel about it, even though, like, technically it's probably hurting a lot of people that I don't like anyway, is that it's just another contributor to this collapse of society that's happening. It's just another step along the way. It's another brick in that wall. Oh yeah, it did. It brought everything down in the crypto market. I don't know. It just kind of feels like people keep getting fooled by the same stuff over and over. I think the weirdest thing about it to me is that, like we've talked about in the past, a lot of the problems are really big and obvious and in our face. But there's just so many people out there that keep going after these really stupid things that they think are going to be the answer. Like, a lot of crypto people are driven by that sort of thinking. They think that crypto is the fix for all kinds of shit. But they don't seem to have the sort of long-term vision to realize that it will actually be like, if what you want is a capitalistic dystopian horrorscape where, like the stuff that they want is so nightmarish. Like, they want people to be issued fucking, like, crypto entries instead of social security numbers, stuff like that. Like, they want your whole world to be some sort of fucking crypto NFT bullshit thing. And they just glaze over the fucking obvious huge detriments to all this shit. Yeah, I saw the NFT house deed scam thing. And when that originally, before, like, people, it always is the same, right? That came out, people made fun of it, and the crypto people were like, well, this is the future. This is how deeds should be. Immutable, it's on the chain, it can never be changed. And, like, people were like, do you see the problem with this though? Like, that's not a good thing. And then inevitably, every time, it turns out to be a fucking scam. Every single time. Why? Because it's inherent to the idea. It's basically built into blockchain and nobody will, like, just admit it. All they do is they say, oh, well, you just don't like it because you don't understand it. Not a one of them understands it. Zero of them understand it. It's the most common thing they say. They say, well, you just don't understand it, so you don't like it. You don't understand the technology. You're not a technologist. You don't know how it works. You're You are a tech bro. You are fantasizing about a world that is somehow saved by technology without knowing what it is at all. You're like somebody with a gun that doesn't know what it is or what it does. You don't know what happens if you pull the trigger, but you get mad at anybody who tells you that's dangerous. That's a dangerous thing you have. Well, no, Rudy, because true gun nuts are like psychos about, you know, knowing guns really well. Every person I've known who's a gun nut is absolutely like, it's like Full Metal Jacket. They're like cleaning it in 15 seconds. They've got trigger discipline is one of their favorite phrases. Like gun nuts are actually quite uh, experts when it comes to guns, unless they're the real stupid, the real stupid kind. Those do exist. The ones who are all aesthetic, kind of like patriotism in this country. Yeah, absolutely, punkster. Like I've said before, it's a multiplayer spreadsheet. The only advantages it has is for grifters who understand how to manipulate that system and that market. That's it. Outside of that, it's just a database. It's just a slightly different kind of database. It is not the second coming of Jesus. Every single benefit, every single thing that they tout as a benefit has been, there's a precedent against it in every case. Like just look at Ethereum. Well, it's an immutable decentralized system. So no one can ever steal anything. And then huge amounts of crypto were stolen. And then what happened to that immutable database? Oh, it was forked. It was forked so we could roll it back. So we could roll back the immutable database that can never be changed because we didn't like what happened there. Shouldn't you have to live with it? I heard code was law. Honestly, like banks are shit, but I trust a bank far fucking more than crypto. Way the fuck more. Oh yeah, massively. I think they already rolled that back because it was a huge disaster, Punkster. I forget which country that was, but yeah, it absolutely backfired. Like I said, everything that they've counted as a win, they has turned out to be a fucking disaster. The problem is that you kind of have to put your money in a bank to exist in society. The only truly sort of safe thing that you can do is to take out cold hard cash and fucking stick it in your mattress and in your walls and in your basement and whatever. But then, someone could always physically steal it from you. But you kind of just have to have your fucking money in a bank. And then with the way shit's going, it's like, obviously that's not like guaranteed safe whatsoever. There's been runs on banks and they've fucking collapsed by not being able to pay out people's money, and people have lost everything. So yeah, banks are not perfect either. But it's a far fucking sight better than crypto. Pick your poison, basically. But maybe pick the poison that's a little less poisony. It does feel like everything sucks, yeah. I've been in this mode of feeling like with every single thing that happens recently, it seems like it's always the worst outcome you can think of. A few bright spots here or there, but for the most part, it's a big downer. Well, I'm talking about things where there are only worst parts. Like, look at the saga of the rail workers. That went about as bad as it could go. And then, of course, the end of that arc was the investors, the companies benefiting from that were celebrating and bragging about how much money that they were going to save. Like, it's cartoonish. It feels like. We got to start taking care of people around us. We can't keep doing this shit. People are just surprisingly very anti-people. And I don't get it. I don't understand. I don't get the people that are so hell-bent on this idea that everybody else is lazy. What the fuck is with that? Nobody wants to work anymore. What are they striking for? What do they need time off for? Like, man, why do you fucking care? How do you live your life? I don't think anybody's fucking genuinely lazy. I feel like people are doing what they for the most part, what they got to do. I mean, yes, there's some shitbags out there that exists, that always exists, but like in the way that people fucking talk, where they just instantly judge other people as lazy for not taking this job or that job or wanting time off or da 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 da. I don't understand that. People on the whole are not fucking lazy. They're just trying to live their fucking lives. Well, I mean, as far as U.S. citizens go, we have a weird fucking disease where we've been kind of like ingrained with this stupid like, well, I can't take time off. I mean, I do it too. I don't want to do it. It's sort of a weird mixture of like it's an ingrained like brain worm, and it's also like just sort of a general fear of like how you'll be perceived or that you'll lose your job or something like that. Even if that's not the case at your fucking job. It's kind of like how a lot of places when they tested having unlimited PTO, like those fucks that like Elon who make this big deal about like, oh well, Twitter had unlimited PTO, and then there were so many fucking people who were like the Elon heads who were saying like, well, that's why Twitter sucks. They weren't even they had unlimited PTO. They never had to come into work. They were working from home. They weren't doing anything. Like, no, man. Have you ever fucking worked at a company? They did studies on unlimited PTO, and people just generally they don't use it even when they have unlimited PTO. In general, they don't hardly fucking use it. Because we're all ingrained with this shit. Just over and over again, you see these fucking lies. You see the work from home shit. Like, there was a mountain of studies about how work from home productivity went insane. Wow, what a surprise. People don't have to spend half their fucking day driving to and from work. They don't have to work in a shitty office that they don't want to be at. And they can take care of stuff at home and get work done. Weird. Productivity went up. Wild. And then these companies started just saying that productivity went down with work from home, which is not true. But they just started saying that because they want to get everybody back in the offices. It's just lies. I'm tired of seeing this fucking shit all the time. The rent thing doesn't even make sense to me. These companies, I mean, like, if anything, that's such a weirdly anti-capitalistic move for them, if you think about it, because it's like they didn't have to pay for all kinds of shit that they normally would have to pay for employees coming to an office, right? Apart from having to pay fucking rent and bills for services for the office, all kinds of other shit they didn't have to do. And then additionally, productivity in general fucking soared. And companies are all about infinite impossible growth and infinite impossible profit. So like, why do they want to quash the best thing that ever happened for them? What the fuck? Like, that doesn't even make sense from their own self-interests, you know, like their own selfish bullshit motivations. Compared to the amount of revenue that companies deal with, like renting an office is not such a big deal that it makes sense to drag all your employees back just because of that. Well, it's a pretty easy Google search. Why was labor productivity growth so high during the COVID-19 pandemic? I mean, you may have anecdotally had some negative experiences with work from home people. I did as well. All I can find are articles like trying to figure out why the heck productivity went up so much when people were working from home. That's like every article I'm finding here. US Bureau of Labor Statistics. It's just like 1 million articles. Yeah, these are good tunes. Once we got away from like manic piano tunes. Yeah, there's just like an unending avalanche of studies and articles and fucking humidity. It's the worst. Well, I think I'm about out of steam here, y'all. I'm gonna roll on out. Thanks for chilling with me. Sorry, it was just sort of a whatever stream. I feel like I got to do these from time to time some nights, you know? Tomorrow will be better. I will see you guys then. Have a good night.